My mother-in-law's greed destroyed my marriage, a battle over my family home. When I first married Ethan, I thought we would have the perfect life together. We were young, in love, and excited about the future ahead of us. Ethan was everything I had ever wanted in a partner: supportive, kind, and hardworking. However, as they say, marriage isn't just between two people. It's also about the families they bring with them. For me, that meant his mother, Marjorie, and from the beginning, I knew she was going to be trouble. Marjorie was one of those women who had a presence in every room she walked into. She was elegant, wealthy, and loved to remind everyone just how much money she had accumulated over the years. Her late husband had been a successful businessman, leaving her with a sizable fortune that she wasn't shy about flaunting. To outsiders, Marjorie was a sophisticated, classy woman. But to those of us who knew her well, she was controlling, manipulative, and always had to have her way. At first, her behavior was subtle. She would make small comments about how Ethan and I should manage our finances or where we should live. She offered unsolicited advice on everything from what kind of house we should buy to which schools our future children should attend. Ethan, being the only child and having always lived under her influence, rarely pushed back. He respected his mother's opinions, and I could see that, at times, he was a little too eager to follow her advice. I was determined not to let Marjorie's opinions interfere with our marriage, though. I knew that, as long as Ethan and I were on the same page, we could handle her overbearing ways. Things were mostly manageable, even if she made me uncomfortable. But all of that changed when my parents passed away unexpectedly, leaving me as the sole inheritor of their house. My parents' home was my sanctuary. I had grown up there, and every inch of that house was filled with memories. From the holidays we celebrated in the cozy living room to the family dinners we had at the long oak table, it was a place that meant the world to me. When they passed, I couldn't bear the thought of letting go of the house. It wasn't just a piece of property, it was a symbol of my family, a part of me that I wasn't ready to lose. Initially, Ethan supported me. He understood why I didn't want to sell the house and even agreed that it could be a place we kept for the future, perhaps even to pass down to our children someday. For a brief moment, I felt at peace knowing that we were in this together. However, Marjorie had other plans. It didn't take long for her to start planting seeds of doubt in Ethan's mind. She began by making little remarks about how impractical it was to hold on to a second house. "Why keep it? It's just sitting there collecting dust," she would say during our dinners together. "You could sell it and use the money to invest in something more lucrative. Imagine the opportunities." Her tone was always sweet, as though she was just offering friendly advice, but I could sense there was something more behind her words. At first, Ethan brushed her off, but as time passed, Marjorie's influence grew stronger. She was persistent, never letting the subject drop. Every chance she got, she brought up the house, suggesting that we were making a mistake by not selling it. She even started hinting that holding on to the house was financially irresponsible. One evening, after one of her many lectures, Ethan and I had a long conversation. He tried to gently bring up the idea of selling the house, using some of the very same arguments Marjorie had fed him. "We could sell it, pay off our mortgage, and still have enough left over for investments," he said, his voice cautious as if he didn't want to upset me. I couldn't believe what I was hearing. "Ethan, we agreed that I would keep the house," I said, my heart sinking. "It's not just a house, it's my family's home. It's all I have left of them." Ethan hesitated, glancing down at his hands before replying. "I know, but we also have to think about our future. Maybe we're being a bit too sentimental. Marjorie's right, it could be a smart financial move." My stomach turned at the mention of his mother. This wasn't Ethan talking, it was Marjorie. She had gotten into his head, and I could see that he was starting to doubt our original decision. But I stood my ground. I told him that I wasn't ready to part with the house, and he reluctantly agreed to drop the subject, for now. For a few months, things calmed down. Ethan stopped bringing up the house, and Marjorie seemed to ease off on her pressure. I thought maybe we had weathered the storm, that I had finally made my point clear. One afternoon, I came home early from work, hoping to surprise Ethan with a nice dinner. As I stepped through the front door, I heard voices coming from the dining room, Ethan and Marjorie. My heart sank when I overheard their conversation. "I've already contacted a real estate agent," Marjorie said, her tone sharp. "You need to get her to sign those papers, Ethan. This is ridiculous. That house is sitting there wasting away. We can't keep waiting for her to come to her senses." Ethan's voice was softer, hesitant. "She's really attached to it, Mom. I don't know if she'll ever agree to sell." "Well, you're just going to have to convince her," Marjorie replied coldly. "You're her husband. You need to do what's best for the both of you, not let her emotions get in the way of smart decisions." I felt a wave of betrayal wash over me. I had trusted Ethan to have my back, to stand with me on this. But here he was, conspiring with his mother behind my back, preparing to sell my parents' house without even talking to me about it. I couldn't hold back any longer. I stormed into the dining room, my face flushed with anger. "What's going on here?" I demanded, my voice trembling. Ethan looked up in shock, while Marjorie remained as composed as ever, her eyes narrowing at me. "Nothing, dear," Marjorie said with a fake smile. "We were just discussing some financial matters." I turned to Ethan, ignoring her. "You were going to sell the house behind my back? After everything we talked about?" Ethan stammered. I was going to talk to you about it. It's just, Mom thinks it's the right thing to do." "Your mother thinks it's the right thing to do?" I said, my voice rising. "What about what I think? What about the fact that it's my family's house and I told you I wasn't ready to sell it?" Marjorie, clearly annoyed by my outburst, interjected, "Oh, for heaven's sake, stop being so dramatic. It's just a house. You're letting your emotions cloud your judgment. You have to think practically, darling." I could feel the tears welling up in my eyes, not just from anger, but from the deep hurt I felt at Ethan's betrayal. "It's not just a house," I whispered. "It's all I have left of my parents, and you were going to take that away from me without even telling me." Ethan reached out, trying to calm me down, but it was too late. I pulled away, my heart pounding. "I can't believe you would do this," I said, my voice cracking. "I can't believe you would choose her over me." The days that followed were tense and painful. Ethan tried to apologize, but the damage was done. I no longer trusted him, and every time I looked at him, I saw Marjorie's influence looming over us. She wasn't just his mother anymore. She was the third person in our marriage, constantly pulling the strings behind the scenes. The final blow came when I discovered that Marjorie had already started the process of selling the house. She had been so confident that I would give in that she had gone ahead and contacted a lawyer to draw up the necessary paperwork. When I confronted Ethan about it, he admitted that he had known about her plans all along but had been too afraid to tell me. That was it. I couldn't take it anymore. I packed my things and left, staying with a friend while I figured out my next steps. I filed for divorce shortly after. Ethan tried to fight it at first, but eventually he realized there was no saving our marriage. Marjorie, of course, tried to interfere even in the divorce proceedings, but I stood my ground. In the end, I managed to keep my parents' house. It was a long and painful battle, but I refused to let Marjorie take away the one thing that meant the most to me. The house now stands as a reminder of my strength and resilience, a symbol of the family I lost and the life I fought for. As for Ethan, I don't know what became of him and his mother, but I do know one thing. I will never let anyone, not even someone I love, take away my voice again. When Marjorie, a wealthy and controlling mother-in-law, tries to manipulate her son into selling his wife's beloved family home, the betrayal drives a deep wedge between the couple. As tensions rise, the battle over the house reveals Marjorie's true intentions, forcing the wife to choose between her marriage and holding on to her last connection to her late parents. In this emotional and dramatic story, loyalty, love, and family collide, leading to a shocking confrontation that changes everything.